Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Own Your Peace. I'm your host, Andy Thewison, and I have one of my dear friends with me, Kristin Salvia. She is a holistic health coach and one of the smartest people I know when it comes to health and wellness. If I have something weird going on, I'm like, hey, Kristin, what do you think about this? What do you think about this supplement? And she's always a fantastic resource to me. And likewise, I'm sure I'm the one you come to for like all the astro
Oh
human
yeah.
design stuff. So we are each other's greatest ally in those realms that we celebrate ourselves in. I'm so excited to have you on. We're going to be diving into a controversial topic.
Mhm.
I have been on a journey with a GLP-1 for over a year and a half now, and I know a lot of you have guessed that or have asked questions about that. And I thought this would be a really great time to tell my story, to have Kristin on to really give us the science behind it and really bust a lot of myths about GLP-1s and why they have been demonized and breaking those paradigms that people have put on them and being really open and honest in what they can do for you. So welcome. I'm so glad to
Thank
have you here.
you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see where this conversation takes us.
I could go in a lot of different directions.
I know we could probably incorporate lots of different little bits into it.
Absolutely. All right. So let's just kind of start with like, what is a GLP-1? Let's start with the bare basics because a lot of people, I think, hear them or hear about them, Ozempic, semaglutide, all these different things.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of like, especially in, mainstream media, there's a lot of negativity around them. Let's break them down and like really simplify exactly what they are so people understand from a, structural standpoint what they actually are even.
Great. Yeah, because I have people even come to me saying, what's the difference between a GLP-1 and a peptide? What are peptides? So GLP-1s are peptides. Peptides are, if you want to break it down, peptides are chains of amino acids, and amino acids make up proteins. So I like to say it's like words and sentences in a book. They all work together to get the job done. Each peptide is a specific shape. It's like fitting a key into a lock when it comes to our cell receptors. So we have receptors for GLP-1 all over our body, but GLP-1 is not the only peptide out there. As we'll probably get into, there are many different peptides available and they all have different jobs. So GLP-1 is a peptide that our body naturally makes and it does decline with age. So it's going to be working on our insulin and our blood sugar. You can also have something called a GLP-1 with GIP, and that's going to help just upregulate how our body processes blood sugar and how our metabolism is running. When you hear words like Ozempic and semaglutide, it's all just different forms of the same thing. So Ozempic is the mainstream pop culture. It's the first one we heard of, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's getting Ozempic face and Ozempic butt. And the people that are using Ozempic are doing it wrong and it's, scary and crazy. And what it comes down to is dosing. So
100%.
when this was introduced mainstream, this was used as a drug to help diabetics, and they noticed that it was helping with weight loss as a side effect. Celebrities got their hands on it, which is amazing, but I think that maybe they went about it in kind of an aggressive way because traditionally Ozempic comes in a pre-filled pen and you have to take the dose given to you, and it's a pretty big dose. What does this do? It's stopping your hunger. It's slowing down your digestion. You do not want to eat. You feel sick. Some people are throwing up and having constipation. One thing leads to another, and that's all the crazy side effects that you hear about.
Okay, now what is the typical dose? I think this is important for people to understand. What is the typical dose in those like pre-filled Ozempic shots?
It can be up to, 7 milligrams, 15 milligrams. Like you're talking really high doses depending on the compounded version that you're talking about. The way that I approach this is through the lens of microdosing, and we can talk about that. But there are different classes of GLP-1s. So traditionally, Ozempic is semaglutide. Tirzepatide is just another version of that. It has an added component. A lot of people with tirzepatide will see less side effects and better fat loss. So it's a little bit more expensive, but a lot of people have really liked their experience with that one. Coming back to the microdose part though, Microdosing came after this whole pop culture obsession with Ozempic. Doctors were realizing when they introduced them in very small amounts, people were seeing a slow weight loss, but also other benefits as far as inflammatory markers going down and other issues that you wouldn't necessarily associate with this drug, such as better cholesterol profile, better thyroid function, brain fog lessening.
Yes.
So there's even talk about, having less of a chance of developing dementia down the road because this is working on your brain glucose. So that's what got me really excited about this. I will be honest, when I first heard about it, I thought it was horrible. I didn't want anything to do with it. I was telling people, like, stay away from this. Your stomach is going to be paralyzed.
Same.
So over the course of about a year, I spent a lot of time researching and really thinking about it and decided to try it for myself and my husband. And we can talk about that too. But going back to your original question, yes, a GLP-1 is made naturally in the body. And sometimes people are able to take it and see benefits in body composition, mood, because it can work on dopamine pathways. It's reversing insulin resistance for people. And we know that blood sugar dysregulation is a root cause for so many diseases that people are dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a similar journey with peptides, GLP-1s as you, where I was very judgmental of like people taking the easy way out, cheating the system. And then of course, like reading these articles where people were getting their stomachs paralyzed and having like all these like adverse side effects because of this. Now that I've done the research more, learning that that's really more from like an overdosing and misdosing situation than actual just doing it in a slow, methodical method. And that is that microdosing. So I fought getting on the shot for a long time.
Yeah.
Like every time I go into the doctor, for you, those of you who have been listening to my story for a while, you know that I have all kinds of autoimmune diseases and they were piling up. And I had tried all kinds of things. I had gone to specialty doctors, all kinds of supplements, trying weird things, everything, but it never really moved the needle too much in my overall health. And my doctor kept, you might want to try this. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because that's, bad and not good for you. And it's cheating and all these things. And I don't want to be on something that I'm going to be on for the rest of my life. And, there's the common fears I think most of us have felt who have, or if you are feeling those fears, I'm recognizing those right now for you. But finally, I was like, okay, I had found a really good functional medicine doctor, and he's like, this is a hybrid compound where we're going to have other things in it besides just the semaglutide, which is what I've been on. So it's got like, B vitamins in it, and it really is more of like a holistic approach at this medicine. I started it. I've been on it about a year and a half now, and it has been a complete game changer. It has been the silver bullet for so many of my health issues, like brain fog gone. I would wake up every morning feeling like I either had run a marathon or that I got hit by a truck. Like
Yeah.
just total body exhaustion. We're just getting up and doing day-to-day things. Sometimes felt like a chore, like let alone trying to add exercise on top of that. I just was so tired all the time on like a bone deep level that it was hard to, for people to understand that and to express how tired my body was. So I started it, and I always tell everybody, I'll continue this for the rest of my life. The weight loss is the side effect.
Yeah.
I did not get on this to be skinny. I am skinny and I look hella good, but that's not the reason why I did this. It's a happy accident because of what it's actually doing to my body, which is lowering the inflammation. If you look at pictures of me before I was on it, I was never fat. I'm never going to say that I was, but I was definitely puffy. You could look at my face and you can tell I just don't look healthy because I was just so puffy. And it didn't matter if I worked out all the time and I ate healthy, nothing changed.
Right.
Like in how I felt and how I looked, it was just same. And I could go like on vacation and eat total garbage.
Yeah.
And I still felt crap and I still didn't gain weight or gain. So that right there tells you there's something on a cellular level.
Yes.
If you're doing the right things and it's not moving, and you're doing the wrong things and it's not moving.
Right. No, your story is so similar to so many women who have come to me with questions about this, just saying, something happened when I turned 40. Things are not working the way they used to. I have the same diet, I'm strength training, I'm doing all the things, but I feel like crap. I'm slowly putting weight on. I don't know what is going on. And they're honestly scared to try this because of how it's been demonized. So, really, my goal is to just normalize how this could work in a holistic way, kind of like what you
Yeah.
were saying. And for so many people, it really is like their cholesterol levels are coming down, their histamine response is getting better. Like it's working on things they didn't really expect. I have people who had Hashimoto's that could not be controlled, right? And
Yeah.
those antibody numbers are coming down. So it is doing something at a cellular level to heal and reset the body. And I even tell people who will start it, and in the beginning, you may not see crazy weight loss. It might be something over time. For me, it happened slowly over 7 months, but it was working more from the inside out. So, like within
100%.
3 weeks, my rings were getting looser. My face looked more sculpted. My clothes just fit better. I didn't feel like thick around my midsection like I had before. Everything, I just felt more comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing like clearer skin. Like I feel like I just feel like you were saying, I feel healthier. So, yes, when done appropriately, I think this could be a really powerful longevity tool. And I do have people ask me, like, well, how am I going to come off this? Or what's going to happen when I do come off it? And the thing I always go back to is how you came to the table is probably how you're going to come off of this, if that makes sense. So, if you came super inflamed, insulin resistance, a lot of things to work on, it's going to take a longer time to taper off these medications. And you might find that coming back on a maintenance dose here and there, cycling on and off, is the path you take. Other people just want to stay on a super low dose for the rest of their lives as long as they can, and they're totally comfortable with that. It's going to be so different for everybody, and everyone does respond completely differently. You will see the best results, though, if you put the work in on a foundational level, getting your sleep dialed in, getting your hormones checked, making sure you're eating enough protein and fiber, staying hydrated, lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week at least, and moving your body daily. All those things are going to come into play. This is not just one magic pill. I tell everyone this is one tool in your toolbox. We wouldn't take insulin away from a diabetic. We wouldn't keep a patient who just struggles with thyroid disease from getting their thyroid hormones. This is just one more piece of the puzzle. And in this world that we're living in, something is going on where our bodies are having a really hard time, be it the toxic load, the environment that we're in. Things are just different, and our bodies are having a harder time keeping up. So if this is a tool that changes the dial and moves things along for you, then congratulations, that's amazing. It's not something to be ashamed about.
Yeah, and that's what I really wanted, and my intention with this episode is to speak to that, to
Yeah.
speak to you know, the shame around this medicine. And I have received it where people are looking at me and my weight loss and they're, oh, she's just on the shot, like, and kind of judgy about it, which you don't know my story. You
Right.
don't know how much this has actually changed my life.
I
Where,
find the people that are feeling the most judgmental are the people that are coming from the greatest place of fear because it's something they don't understand and it's something they're not ready to accept. And that's totally fine. But I do think, like you said, like your journey is your journey. And for
yeah,
someone to comment on that one way or another, it's just not their business.
yeah,
Let that go because you'll never get away from that. I had a similar response, people saying, why would you start this? You're so healthy. And for me, it wasn't that I want to lose 20 pounds. It's that I want to optimize my metabolic system. That's what it
right.
comes down to.
Yeah, it comes down to what can I do to take really, really good care of my body so that I have longevity, so I can continue to show up for my kids, that I can continue, as I get older, be there and have the energy for grandkids and be the kind of person I want to be, show up in my business the way that I want to show up because I wasn't. I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
have
I
the
remember what, like 2 years ago talking to you, and you were just saying how exhausted you were, how much pain you were in, how you were having flares and you couldn't get to the bottom of it. And now I feel like you're thriving.
I'm totally thriving. Like
Yeah.
my ability to focus is off the charts. Like I remember on the start of like when everything started really getting bad, before the diagnosis of Lyme disease and all these things, I would try to sit down. And my job as a blogger, like I'm here
Yeah.
to write and create content. That's where I started. And I would try to sit down and write a blog post, and I couldn't focus.
What have you noticed in your labs, looking at them
Oh,
from before to now?
night and day.
Yeah.
Like cholesterol's lower, blood sugar levels are lower. Have always been a healthy person. I always eat pretty healthy. I always exercise, all those things. I was doing all the right things, but I was still testing pre-diabetic,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is ridiculous. And it wasn't like I was at an unhealthy weight. All the doctors was like, this is crazy. Like you shouldn't have things looking like this. And they're like the inflammation markers were probably the biggest, is like so much inflammation just gone, like
Yeah, I mean, I think your
cut in
body was
half.
probably stuck in survival mode and nothing could change until you found the right tool to help move that needle.
Right. And because that needle moved, I was able to work on, have more focus to
Yeah.
focus on the emotional issues behind my health. I was able to
Yeah.
focus on a lot of like habits of, and stress relief and all these things, and really come at it from a completely different space that I didn't have like the ability to like focus more than just a couple hours and then be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think one of the big things I noticed, 2 or 3 months in, was that I was changing my thinking even around. I'm not going to lie and say there are no side effects here, because there definitely are.
Yeah, I'll talk
But I
about
will
those.
say, yeah, we can talk about that. But along that line, it does bring you back to a level of body awareness you may not have noticed before. For me, I feel like it did kind of rewire my relationship with food. Like, what's on my plate? What am I eating? How do I feel right now while I'm eating this? Am I actually full sooner than I think? Like, am I thinking about food 24/7 still? Like it's definitely changed that relationship. So if I do go off, which I have started spreading out my doses. I've noticed there's not as much of an obsession over when am I going to eat again? Am I going to have low blood sugar? Am I going to get hungry? Or my emotions going to be crazy? It's more steady, like I'm more tuned in. But yeah, with the side effects, of course, with anything, if you don't do it the right way, you're not going to feel your best. So because this does dampen the appetite and slow down gastric release, if you overeat, you will be miserable. Now, I
Yes.
always tell people, if you have no appetite, that's a red flag. If you're
Yeah.
experiencing constipation, that's a red flag. If you're nauseated, red flag. Let's get you to a place and a lower dose where you still have an appetite and you can still get your nutrients in, because that's when we worry about hair loss, bone loss, muscle loss, if you're not getting in the nutrients that your body
Right.
wants. But yes, if you overeat on this medication, you will be paying for it later. You will not feel good. It is
No,
a thing.
it is a thing. And if I were to give anybody advice, just based on my experience, start slow. Start really, really slow. Like whatever the doctor tells you, your starting dose should be, cut it in half.
Absolutely. I'm the same way with my clients who I recommend certain peptides. I'm always saying, like, start at half. You don't know how your body's going to respond. Maybe you're fine, but also, like, do you want to be miserable as a result? Start at half the dose, see how you feel, titrate up if needed. You might find that that lower dose is perfect for you.
Yeah. And just start at that lower dose. And then as you like start to not feel sick and you're handling that dose well, then maybe
Right.
try to baby it up,
Mhm.
um, until you feel like you're getting the results that you want to
Mhm.
get. So that's been huge.
Yeah,
And
I think with microdosing, the goal is find the lowest dose that's still doing something for you,
exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Because I'm seeing people getting impatient and doubling their dose, or going up and going up and going up, and then their cell receptors are not even responding anymore, and they still have no appetite. So they lose muscle and they come out on the other end like with no muscle, and also gaining the fat back, which no one wants to be. And then their glucose sensitivity is off as well. And it's just it's a snowball effect.
Yeah. So if you're on this medicine, it's not a silver bullet. It's not a be all end all. You start slow, go slow, but really make sure that you're still getting nutrients,
Mhm.
making sure Kristen will preach all day long
All
about
day.
protein and
Mhm.
fiber
No.
and how important that is. We know. And that's probably the hardest thing is when you're on too high of a dose, you're not going to have the appetite,
Yeah.
and that's a big red flag. So
Big red flag.
whenever I got to the point where I was like, I couldn't finish like a healthy
Mhm.
little dose of something, I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
went too high this week. I'm feeling nauseous. I went too high this week. So I need to
Yeah.
like back down. And this is something that you're gonna burp.
This is true. It does cause some burping. That's funny because I have the same issue. Like
Yeah.
I don't get constipated, I don't get nauseous,
No.
queasy, but I do burp more.
Yeah.
What was I doing?
What was causing this response to my body? So, because again, you're going to slow down your digestion with
Yeah.
this medicine. So, like, you do, like, just everything about it is going to slow it down. But a really beautiful thing about it is it does stop the food noise. Before, like, we just talked about this, like, my mind was always like, what am I going to eat? Now I don't even think about it.
I will say semaglutide is better for that than tirzepatide. If
Okay.
food
That's
noise
good to know.
or addiction is a problem, I would say semaglutide is the way to go because it's very powerful on those pathways. I have someone who's on it and she used to struggle with eating disorders and really obsessing over food. And she said, oh my gosh, for the first time I can breathe because I'm not thinking about food. And for her, it's not that she wanted to eat less, it's that she wanted to stop obsessing about what her next meal would be, if she should eat it, if she shouldn't eat it. It's almost like it just brought everything back down to baseline for
Yeah.
her
Like the
in a mental way.
right. And the constant obsession with macros and
Mhm.
like all of these things. And it really just gave me a healthier relationship with food. I
Mhm.
listen to my body way more now. And that's been huge. I would love to see the conversation go next, just in general with peptides, especially GLP-1s, is let's use this to change our relationship and how we interact with food.
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, oh, I'm just going to take the shot, get skinny,
Mhm.
and, not change how I look at my relationship with food, but like use this as an opportunity. You're already in the state where your brain is getting rewired. Why not retrain it as to what it craves, what it wants?
Absolutely.
Because you're going to be
Absolutely.
more open and receptive during this time frame when you're really learning how to work with this medicine. I'll tell you what, I can't eat fast food the way that I
Yeah.
used to. Like it's disgusting to me.
This medicine will cause like super processed fatty foods to just not sit well with you. You're not going to feel good. And the fact that your appetite is more controlled, I hope for most people will cause them to, like you said, sit down and think more like, how can I pack as much nutrition into this as possible to
Yeah.
get the most bang for my buck?
Yeah, I think that's important because your calories are going to get lowered. The amount of calories you eat every day. So you
Yeah,
want your calories to count. You want them to
100%.
be like you can eat a candy bar and it's going to make you feel sicker, or
Yeah,
you can eat something that's really nutrient base and you're going to feel so much better because of it.
absolutely.
I want people to start seeing this as a tool to unlock their relationship with food in a way that is really serving
Yeah,
and
yeah,
nourishing to you. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Obviously, all the like inflammation's gone. I don't have the feeling of like I ran a marathon every day. I don't have like the
right.
joint pain. I don't have the constant ache within my body. All that's gone.
Mhm.
But more importantly, I have a really healthy relationship with food. I stop when I'm full. You cannot overeat on this medicine.
No. And if you
No,
do, you're not feeling great all
you
night.
all night. It's not a good win.
Yeah.
And it really is helping you to relearn hunger cues and hunger signals because I think a lot of us lost that ability to hear them.
Or we're emotionally eating. I mean, that's certainly a thing, right? Out of
Absolutely.
boredom, out of loneliness. I think I tend to do that sometimes just to comfort myself. And now I'm sitting down and thinking, okay, am I actually hungry or am I just bored? Like, what am I craving? It's interesting to
It's
dive into.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I'm just thirsty.
Yeah, yeah. That is something too. With semaglutide, you have to be careful with because it can dampen the desire for liquids as
I
well.
have noticed
So
that,
people
yes.
are walking around dehydrated. But yeah, as far as the comparison, if you wanted to compare, like semaglutide to
I
tirzepatide.
love that. Yes, go
Yeah.
there.
So going back to semaglutide, great for cravings, great for food noise issues. It's still going to regulate blood sugar. Tirzepatide has the added GIP, which is going to work on the metabolism a little bit more. People are seeing a greater increase in fat burn. So if you find you're on semaglutide and you're not seeing the body composition results, you might consider switching to tirzepatide. People are seeing more movement as far as how their body is reshaping. And then it's helping to get you into fat burn a little bit faster. And it's showing less side effects than semaglutide. So if you're someone who's scared of nausea, tirzepatide might be a better way to go. It all depends on what your goals are. There's a third one coming out called retatrutide. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
I haven't.
So it's called a GLP-3, but it's got an added piece to it, a glucagon piece. So it's working on levels of blood sugar, like actually in your blood, but it's also preserving muscle better than the other two. So people on retatrutide are finding that even when they're not strength training as much as they should, they're not losing muscle as fast as those on tirzepatide or semaglutide. So it's a fascinating world. It's not going anywhere.
No.
You know, there's only going to be greater developments down the road. There are oral drops now, which I don't think are as effective. They have a shorter half-life, but if you're absolutely needle phobic, people are seeing results on the oral drops. It's just taking a lot longer.
That's another thing. Now we're seeing all these products like the oral drops, the pills, the patches.
Yeah.
That are like, oh, they mimic, especially I see more with the NAD than anything. And I'm like, I don't waste your money.
I agree. And I'm almost starting to feel the same way about supplements, because if your gut health is not impeccable and you're breaking down these supplements perfectly, I'm not sure you're really getting what you think you're getting. How much better to just inject it subcutaneously and know that it's getting into your bloodstream. It's bypassing your digestion. I'm all on team inject whatever I can instead of taking it orally. And I was really scared of that needle at first.
You get if you're like, I don't like needles, like you'll get used to it, and you literally are just pinching fat and like putting in a fat. So it does not hurt at all. In your experience with working with so many people, because I just have my own personal experience, I'm not talking to anybody else who's doing this. Is there certain areas in the body that are more effective to put the dose in?
So with the GLP, a lot of people like just doing it right in the belly fat. It's super easy, super convenient. It doesn't sting or anything. Some people do say they think it's more effective there. If you look at the research, it doesn't necessarily matter where you're going to inject it.
Okay.
But you know, if we wanted to talk about other peptides that people are using, some of them do sting a little bit. And I find like right in the booty area is the best way to inject. Anything that's going to be a little stingy, that's the easiest place.
That was the hardest thing with because I had been doing semaglutide for so long, and then I added NAD, and that one stings.
Yeah, it does sting. You have to letting it come to room temperature could help, and then injecting really slowly could help.
Okay.
If you inject too fast too, you may notice kind of an adrenaline response, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
like my mind races.
flushing and like your mind is like on, but I kind of love that because it's like telling me it's working. As an anxious person, somehow I don't get bothered by that. I'm not really sure why. I just feel like I'm waking up, I'm turning on. Okay. But going back to the patches and the supplements with NAD, there's just a lot of question about the molecule size being able to pass through the skin. There are even some sublingual peptides now, and I'm just not sure that those molecules are really passing through the way people are saying. Maybe there's a technology I don't know about. I can't speak to all of them. But I do think subcutaneous is the best route.
I would think so. Like, I mean, if you go to a doctor and you're like really sick, they're not
going to put a patch on you.
They're not going to put a patch on you. And they're really not going to give you a pill even. They're going to put it right in the bloodstream. And it's going to cause the most impact quickly. So I definitely think if you can get over your fear of needles and
it's a tiny needle, you can barely see it. And then when you're pinching the skin and just you really get used to it so quickly. You do, like you said.
It becomes like
it's not a thing.
It's not even a thing. It's like, oh, man, done.
Yeah, done. And with the GLP, you only have to do it once a week. I did find I enjoyed breaking that dose in half and dosing it twice a week to get a more steady flow and not feel any side effects at all. So for me, I'm so scared of throwing up. I don't want to feel nauseous ever. So I broke my microdose in half. So I was microdosing my microdose, and I
I
have
love it.
felt great doing that. And since I have started going longer between doses and being able to maintain, so that's really great. But if at some point I need to go back to every week, I'll totally do it.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm starting to where I've been on it for a year and a half and I've had
Yeah.
really, really beautiful results. And I actually have had more vitality, more just like feeling really, really good
That's
than I have in a
amazing.
long time. Like I half the
Yeah.
time I actually forget I haven't even have things, which is crazy. I've been kind of going like 10 days, couple
Yeah.
weeks, and that seems to be okay. Yeah, so just playing with it a little bit. And then
Mhm.
but I also don't want to like go too long because I don't want any of that to come back.
Right. For people like you who have so many underlying things that you're trying to heal, I do think it's going to be more beneficial to keep that cycling of it instead of taking long breaks. Because initially people were saying, well, stay on it 3 to 6 months and then take a 3 month break. I don't know. I think for some people, the body can take up to a year to reach a new set point. I don't think it's wise to just go on this for 3 months and then stop. I don't think you're going to
Yeah.
see the best results. I'll say too, I have a couple people who have gotten on it. Their hormones were not optimized. They were drinking alcohol every day, not working with their sleep and not working out, and they saw no change. So even though for some people this can start to move the needle really fast, there are some of us out there that really do have to be doing all the other things too.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't until I felt like I hit that 7, 8 month corridor
Hmm.
where it was just like everything changed.
Yeah.
Like they were like marginal, like, oh, I feel a little bit better. Like I lost like a pound or two.
Yeah.
And I would get a little frustrated because at that point I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna lose, let's lose. If I'm gonna be honest, I am a little vain. I will own it. Full transparency. But I was getting to the point where I was like, yeah, it's not really moving.
Right.
But it was when I hit that 7, and I really feel like it was just the culmination of my body really needing to do that metabolic healing because I grew up in the 90s. That was a really messed up time when it came to metabolic health. We did really dumb
Absolutely.
things, slim fast diets, cabbage soup diets, all these really terrible diets, and
Oh my gosh.
starving.
Have you rewatched any of the popular movies or shows from that time? It is shocking the
Oh,
content that and the things that people will just outright say, the actors. I'm just like, oh, we could never get
we would
away
be
with that.
canceled so
Oh,
fast for like
immediately.
a quarter of what you just said.
It's wild.
It's wild. It was a wild time. Like heroin
Absolutely.
chic was a thing.
100%. And I hate to say, but it is coming back.
It is coming
That
back.
culture is coming back. So I think that's where you go back to, finding that middle ground
Yeah,
of doing it the right way and still staying nourished and healthy. Like you could take anything too far. So I'm
absolutely.
not going to say that's not a reality for a lot of people.
Right. And I had people in my life, like my husband, my sister. I'm like, if I get too skinny
Mhm.
and I start looking like maybe somebody who was in a recent movie,
Mhm.
please stop me and
Mhm.
tell me you're in too deep. Knock this off. I never got to that point. I don't think I've always felt like my doctor's was really good. He's like, if you get below this weight, that's not okay.
Yeah. And
Um,
too, doing something like a DEXA scan would be really great to just check in on bone density, make sure your muscle ratio is where it needs to be as far as that versus body fat. I feel like that's a really great way to just check in with yourself and make sure like you're aligning to your goals.
Yeah, I think that's really smart to do that and making sure you're continually and one of the things that I didn't stop doing, lifting weights. I didn't stop
Yeah.
eating healthy. Like I continued to nourish my body. And I think that's why I got the results that I did is because I just kept doing the things I've always been doing.
Yeah. People need to remember too, as we age, it's harder to put on muscle than you think it is. And you have greater protein requirements than you did when you were younger. You would think it's the opposite, but it's not. We have to work harder to maintain what we have, and we need more protein to keep that up. So, especially if you're going to start a medication like this, that has to be something you're doing immediately. I think that doctors should make that a requirement personally. Like, if
Yeah,
I was a doctor, I would say you're not doing this unless you agree that you're going to add this to your regimen.
I think that's really smart. And I think that's needs to be added to the conversation for
Mhm.
sure, because a lot of the reasons people are, belly aching and complaining about these peptides is because of the muscle loss. but that's easily avoidable.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't have to be part of your story. First of all, get on a proper dose where you're not, overdosing, and really keep taking care of yourself.
Yeah,
Keep
and I'm not going to say this is for everyone. Some people may try this and they hate it and they feel crazy and terrible. Don't do it. Like, that's not for you. It's like, take what works for you and take the shame away from it and just go on with your life. It's fine.
and stop judging people who are on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
And I can say that because I was in that place of judgment.
Oh, so was I. I
For
was
a hot minute.
really judgy.
And you know how it is. You get so used to looking at yourself day in and day out that sometimes you don't notice the changes that are happening for good or for worse. So there can be a blindness there too.
Right. And I think that's really important because especially for those of us who have always kind of been on the chubbier side or have had a tendency to hold weight, body dysmorphia is a thing.
Mhm.
And that's why I had my husband, my sister, and people really watching me. There's sometimes where I still see the older version of me with the extra weight, and it doesn't click that I look the way that I do sometimes.
Mhm.
So body dysmorphia is a really
Mhm.
important thing to have as part of your conversation with yourself.
Have you seen the whole skinny talk thing on TikTok?
I
There's a
haven't.
whole like hashtag skinny talk, and it's this whole like sub thread of women getting on sharing how to stay skinny, but it's like very disturbing. It's like, I didn't eat all day, or I only had a few almonds today, or this is how I stay so skinny, but it's not in a good way at all. It's almost like we've gone back to that place of
The 90s.
complete, dysfunction. So that's the world our kids are going into. So if anything, I just want to keep talking and educating because I think knowledge is power. And if we have these tools, let's use them the right way. But again, like if you're someone who really struggles, it might not be the first thing you go to.
And what are your thoughts on, age when it comes to this medicine?
I know, the provider that I've partnered with, you have to be 18 or above,
Okay.
but you also have to meet a certain BMI requirement and you have to show a photo and you have to show proof that you really are a good candidate for this medication. But there are ways to go about getting this that aren't, the best route. You can go to a research lab and just start using it yourself. So there's not a lot of oversight in this world. There's a lot of gray market. So I think, yeah, we have to be careful, especially in this day and age of like Snapchat, where kids can get their hands on anything just by sending a message. Keep an eye on your kids, keep the conversations open.
Yeah.
I do know though that some pediatricians are bringing these peptides into the conversations with their, patients who are having weight issues. And I think that for the right person, maybe it could be a good option, but I do wonder the effects on kids that this is going to have. But again, I'm very transparent with my kids. I tell them what I'm taking, why I'm taking it. They know what it's affecting, how it's helping me. So I definitely don't hide it.
Yeah, same. I'm very transparent with my girls, especially because I don't want them to look at me and, have this unrealistic
Mhm.
expectation. I'm naturally a person who held weight.
Right.
And maybe that was inflammation from the beginning. Maybe, when I was in my 20s and I was working out and eating really healthy, I did have a smoking hot body, like I did. But like after having kids and,
Mhm.
just trying all kinds of crazy diets, like for me to be thin
Mhm.
throughout my lifetime, it was always a really hard struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't something that was natural for me. It was like
Right.
me really watching what I was eating, me really, really exercising, me, dialing in my supplementation were all things that needed to get to where I wanted to be. And it was something that was definitely not natural
Yeah.
for my body type.
Well, then you add autoimmune on top of that, and then your
Right.
body is in chaos. And I don't know. I want to validate for those people who are doing all those things. They're macro counting, they're working out 5 days a week, right? Everything
Yeah.
is dialed in and they're gaining weight. I mean, yeah, we want to check your hormones, we want to do those other things, but get a tool that's going to help just get you out of this funk so that you can actually feel better.
Right. And that's at the end of the day, that's what that is this is a tool that just kind of resets your body,
Mhm.
resets your metabolism,
Mhm.
and helps your body to process food in the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah. And I also want to say it's very natural when microdosing to go through plateau periods. You might find yourself, going 4 weeks with no change whatsoever. And I would say, like, stay the course, because you might find that your body kind of adjusts and starts ramping up that response again. And then you might see the scale change, or your body composition is changing again. And that might happen a couple times over the course of going through this. So that's also very normal.
Yeah, I went through that where it was like, no change, no change.
Yeah.
And there was times where I was like, well, do I need to up my dose? And I just stayed where I was at because
Yeah.
for me, again, it's great to look good and all those things. But for me, it was always, it started with my health
Yeah.
first. And I
Exactly.
was feeling better. It just, the scale wasn't moving.
Yeah, I started at half the lowest recommended dose for tirzepatide, and I stayed there the whole time. I never had to increase. But yeah, I had periods of like a month at a time that nothing would change, and I just kept doing what I was doing. And then it picked back up again.
Yeah. And it was like those big drops.
Yeah, I would lose like a pound and a half a week for a couple weeks, and then it would slow down. But I think that's the natural way to do it,
And
versus losing like 13 pounds in 2 weeks, and then you're worrying about your skin sagging, and your body can't bounce back from that. So when you're
no.
seeing like the saggy face and the saggy butt and the loose skin, it's because your body hasn't even had time to adjust.
Yeah, it takes a minute. And
Mhm.
like going that low and slow,
Mhm.
like it took me probably a good 7 months
Yeah, yeah, same. It
to
took me about
to
7 months.
get to my like most, where I'm at now.
Yeah. And even now I'm fluctuating like 5 pounds up and
Yeah.
down, and it's fine. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah. I'm like, I feel better than I have felt in years.
Yeah, same.
And this medicine for me has been everything. And if I can help stop demonizing it and getting one person to be like, what if I just try it?
Yeah.
And just try it. And especially if you're in the camp where I have been, where like you've tried all the things, been, nobody really knows what's going on with your body and it's just holding inflammation, it's holding weight.
Mhm.
Could be the tool that just unlocks it all.
Oh, and women are seeing success with helping their PCOS symptoms. Women are getting pregnant after getting on this because of what the blood sugar regulation has done to their fertility. So again, if you go and like get on ChatGPT and ask like, how can this help me? You're going to be shocked at all the ways, or all the possibilities.
Right. I want to also say this, and I'm sure you could even echo this and probably give it even more weight to this. This is not a new medicine.
No, no.
It is
This has
not.
been studied since the 80s and the 90s. It, became really popular in about 2023 in pop culture. 2024 is when microdosing started getting really popular. So even in just the last year, has it become less taboo to talk about? And I think we're only starting to see, like, there's so many great accounts on Instagram with doctors who are just telling us like the latest and greatest things they're finding with their patients. It's amazing. So I think, even in cancer treatment, or finding that they're having better responses to their cancer because of using a GLP, because of how it's working on the glucose regulation. It's all connected. And again, I'm not going to say it's a magic pill, but it really is a powerful tool.
It's a very powerful tool because I think it's working on something that nobody has been working on in a really long time, and that is the foundations of health.
Exactly. And we have those GLP receptors all over our body: brain, GI tract, stomach. So it's not just like slowing down your digestion.
And
It is like it's working all
and it's
over.
healing your body from the inside out, as opposed to like getting on a cholesterol medicine and all these other things where it's just making your body process another thing that's going to
Mhm.
sprout up another
Yeah,
side
and the,
effect.
the beautiful part about these compounded versions. So when you look at like what Eli Lilly is creating, or what's in Ozempic, there are fillers and preservatives, but when you're getting it through a compounding pharmacy, you're getting just the pure peptide. A lot of people ask this. You're getting just the pure peptide with bacteriostatic water. That's it. Sometimes they're adding, B vitamins. Sometimes they're giving you Zofran in case you do feel nauseated. It's different everywhere you go. But the compounding route, you can look up COAs, where you're seeing how pure is this? Is it really what I think it is? You're not worrying about mycotoxins and bacteria. Like, it is just the pure product, and it's completely resembling what your body makes naturally. So if that's helpful in any way, that is a popular question that I get too.
I think it's a really important question to address, and is like the quality of the ingredient. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if you're getting a mainstream drug, it's not the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can find another way that, could get more to that root cause approach of why you're having these issues, then why wouldn't you try that? Instead of, how many people are on like 5 to 10 prescription drugs, they're causing more side effects than are
And
desired and not even really healing.
right. And your body is literally trying to process all this stuff. So it's not even being able to do what it needs to do, which is actually heal.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
It's
People are
wild.
finding that like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, their instances are going down because it's working on the levels of fat and inflammation in the liver. Like I could go all day talking about
And that's what I
the
love about you.
possibilities.
It's like you have so much information. Okay, so let's like kind of like pivot a little bit here.
Hmm.
I'm really excited about hearing about some of the new peptides that I don't understand. So like for my
Okay.
experience, I've done some glutide, I've done it NAD, but I know there's some really beautiful ones that are coming in that are newer. Obviously, none
Hmm.
of this is new. These
Yeah.
peptides have been around for a long time. It's just I feel like they're being used in new applications.
Absolutely. Yeah. And some of them are more accessible than others. So some of them you may only have a specific doctor that will prescribe. Some you may need to go through a telehealth. Some you may need to go the research lab route, which that's a whole thing too. Some are great, honestly, in my opinion. They've been really well vetted, and others I'm very much
It's
questioning
the wild,
them.
wild west over there.
It is the wild, wild west. So yeah, depending on what you're looking for, you could probably find a peptide for just about anything.
Okay, so what are the ones to look at? These
Yeah.
are the ones that we need to be paying attention to. What are those?
Okay, so you're going to hear BPC 157 all day long. And if you
Okay.
haven't heard about it, you're going to hear about it in the next hour because I just said it.
Okay.
BPC stands for body protective compound. It's made from a molecule in your stomach acid. So again, it's something coming from what your body naturally makes. It's a very healing peptide. It's going to go to tissues, muscles, tendons, things needing repair. It will also work on the gut lining. This is the one peptide I would say is probably almost as powerful to take the oral form as taking the injectable
Oh,
form.
that's really helpful to
Yes.
know.
So taking injectable, it is going to be systemic. It's going to go where it's needed. I have a lot of people using it post-surgery to help rotator cuff injuries or other surgical procedures that they've had just to help them have better healing. It's often paired with a peptide called TB500. This just has additional healing properties with it. You can also incorporate a peptide called GHKCU. It has copper in it. This
Okay.
has components in it that help build collagen, that are anti-aging. They call this the beauty peptide,
Oh, I need
hair
to get
for
myself
hair
on that
and
one.
nails.
Yeah, as
This
soon
is
as you
one that
said
yes,
copper.
I'm taking it as an injectable. And then the telehealth company that I partner with also has a facial serum that has topical copper, topical NAD, and retinol, and a few other things added into it as well. I've been taking that since the summer and I'm really liking it.
I was gonna say your
Um,
skin is
you
like
can
glowing.
Thank you. It literally is. I'm like, what
It
is
literally is glowing.
You can also get it as a topical serum for your hair if that's an area of concern. People are like microneedling it into their scalp.
Okay.
So GHKCU is one I'm really excited about. There's also some information on this one saying it can help with your lung health as well. So yeah, I just got over a recent illness. I was taking that every day along with my NAD and my glutathione actually. If you want to get technical, NAD is an enzyme, not a peptide. So
Okay.
NAD does not have any amino acids, it's an enzyme.
Okay.
And then glutathione is an antioxidant, but they will all be available on many peptide sites, which is why I'm including them. Glutathione is a powerful antioxidant in the body. You've probably heard of it.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that the oral version or the liposomal version is even touches the injectable version, like we were saying before.
Yeah.
But it's also going to help your immune system, your detoxification. So glutathione could be a really powerful one. And then in the world of wanting to build muscle and burn fat, we're looking at tesamorelin and ipamorelin. So
Okay.
these are growth hormone secretagogues. They are not actual growth hormones. They are simply signaling to your pituitary gland to make more of your own exogenous growth hormone. So it's another thing where as we get older, we make less growth hormone.
Yeah.
We need growth hormone to rebuild our body, to build muscle, right? As those levels go down, that's when we're seeing more trouble keeping that muscle we've worked so hard to build. So this combination together is going to help rebuild that muscle, but then tesamorelin also targets visceral fat. So it's going to work on that inflammatory fat around the organs and fat
Okay.
around your midsection. A lot of people are seeing crazy results on this one, like getting absolutely shredded. This is a tricky one though, because initially it can cause some water retention and joint pain for some people. So then they
Okay.
kind of panic and they quit. Some say it could take up to 6 weeks to see best results. So you would have to possibly suffer through some side effects to see the results. But the people that have had really good experiences absolutely love this combo. You would cycle on and off. So do it for maybe 6 to 8 weeks and take a break and then do it again. But that is a powerful one. I tried that one. Full transparency, I'm very sensitive to most medications. I found I had to take a very small microdose because if I took the full dose, my heart rate went up, my stress levels on my aura ring were through the roof all day long. My body did not love it. So that goes back to we're all bio-individual.
Yes.
Start really low and slow, see how you respond. Another thing with this combo, and I could be going way down the rabbit trail now, so cut me off.
No, I
You're
love it.
supposed to take it at night a
Okay.
couple hours after your last meal because it's working on growth hormone pulses that naturally occur overnight.
Okay.
For me, it jacked up my sleep, of course, because I'm a sensitive butterfly. So I was taking it fasted in the morning, waiting about 30 minutes before eating. Now, I didn't stay on it long enough. I got sick of having to time it, and that's just my honest experience. My husband, on the other hand, loved it, got absolutely shredded, had amazing results, great sleep, no issues with his nervous system. So
Okay. Yeah,
those
we're
are
so
the hot
different.
ones. Those are the hot ones that I'm really hearing a lot about. There's a whole nother world if you really wanted to go down the rabbit hole of bioregulators. These are
Let's do
not
it.
technically peptides, but they are targeting different organs. Each one is for a different organ. So
Okay.
that's something I'm excited to learn more about. And I'll definitely be talking more about that as I
Okay.
get more comfortable with what they really do.
Yeah. So they are just, if you have an organ that's in distress,
Mhm,
let's say like your liver
mhm.
or something like that, like, I mean, 'cause
Ovaries, thyroid, prostate, like you name it, there's a bioregulator that could go to work on it.
that's crazy. So now that's like you have to do the work to figure out what organ is in
Mhm.
distress and
Yeah,
then,
and it's not one that you're going to see mainstream. It's one that you'd have to go and like find a specific place that distributes it, and you'd have to figure out those things. So that's where it gets a little weird. I think
yeah,
that's something to keep your eye on because I think it will come more mainstream down the road.
for sure. And where you do, I totally leaving this off the table. This is like your bread and butter. Like what you really do is the hair testing.
Yeah.
So, that's what Kristen does is she does a hair test and then she creates this whole report for you and kind of
Mhm.
helps guide you as to what your body needs. So that would actually pair really well with
Yes,
because
absolutely.
on that it will tell you what maybe is in distress within the
Mhm.
body
Yep.
and then knowing like what peptides to pair with what is in distress in the body. So
Definitely. Yeah, I've used it to, target gut issues because something like that flagged on the scan or the immune system flagged. Depending on what's flagging, I can absolutely make peptide recommendations for you. If you don't want to get a hair scan, we can also just do a peptide consultation. It's 30 minutes. It's easy. We go through what peptides are, which ones could be a good fit for you. It's basically just a lot of educating, and I'm pointing you to what is possible. I am not a doctor. I'm not prescribing. I don't want to have that liability or get into that murky water.
right.
But it is something I'm very passionate about and I spend a lot of time researching. So, yeah, there's also the option for just a consultation to chat about it. And then we can talk about what might be a good fit.
Right. And then she also like, if you're not, she is in Texas. I'm super jealous. I actually would love to live in Texas, but I'm being honest, like where it's warm. This is
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful here today. It's like 73. It's amazing. But, we also have to deal with the really hot summers. So
I'm
there's
here
that.
for the hot summers. I grew up in Arizona.
That's right. You did.
I love the heat.
That's
Um,
right.
Utah is beautiful during the summer. It's
Mhm.
gorgeous here. Like you can't top
Stunning.
a Utah summer, but we're getting into winter and I'm like, why do I live here?
Yeah. The
Why?
seasonal sadness is coming.
Yes. I do not enjoy hair. Like I usually need to schedule like a trip somewhere warm, like
Absolutely.
come like January.
It's inevitable. It's coming
It's
into the
enough.
conversation.
It's coming in the conversation.
No, the sunshine is life. If I don't have the sun, I am unwell. So
Yeah.
I completely understand.
Yeah. Up in the vitamin D dosage and
Mhm.
all those things, getting, like therapy, all those things help.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I don't feel like I'm meant to live long term in Utah.
Yeah.
And if you're not in lovely Texas, Kristin offers remote testing. So you can like pull your own hair and
Mhm.
send it to her and she'll run the test for you and then you have a follow up via Zoom. So you don't have to be local to work with Kristin. She definitely works remote and she is such a great resource. Like I said, she knows so much and she goes so deep on everything. That's one of the things I love most about her is her and I are kindred spirits when we come to like whatever we dork out about. We could like go deep in research and get lost in our little rabbit holes of research. So we definitely have that in common, and I love that.
Absolutely.
Just different things. I
And
actually,
I don't even pretend to understand half of the human design astrology things you talk about, but I'm here for it.
yeah. And the thing is, like, I can geek out on all the like the peptides and stuff like that because I do find it like genuinely so interesting and so intriguing. And I've always been so interested in the human body, but definitely not on your level.
I appreciate that.
Not on your level at
We
all.
all have our things.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I'm way more comfortable talking the stars.
Exactly.
And that's really where I've landed, and I absolutely love it. But this has been such a fun conversation, and I hope really you opened up your minds and your hearts a little bit to something that might be a game changer for you. And really kind of, if anything else, you just kind of left this conversation with a, maybe, possibly.
Yeah. Stay
And
curious, friends.
always stay curious, always have an open mind, always be curious, not judgmental. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Absolutely.
I really feel like this is such a beautiful direction for you and it's going to help a lot of people.
Guys, just, this world is of peptides. It's not going anywhere and it might not be for you, but just keep your minds open. You might know someone that needs help and it could really change their life. So yeah, staying
Yes.
curious is the only way to be.
It's the only way to be. When you move through life, that curious mind and that always the open student mind, you're going to pick up so much more and your experience is going to be that much better. So always, always, always. Okay. Before we leave, Kristin, I always like to ask this question. What is your piece of the puzzle?
Oh, what is my piece of the puzzle? I think getting out of my own way has been my piece of the puzzle. I used to have a tendency to overthink and have imposter syndrome and worry about being ready. And I've realized we're never ready. Just go and do the thing. It's going to be imperfect. You'll figure it out along the way. Just get out of your own way.
I love that. All right. Well, till next time, we'll see ya.